So Simran, I think you actually touched on something that I think is kind of your secret sauce, which is that balance of what you think the audience would be interested in, which is important, of course, but also what you're personally interested in and things that people may not know about, but you deeply care about, and then putting those together in a way where people go, wow, that's something that I should really know about, maybe I should be acting upon it. And when we were talking about the medium being the message, I think there's also an element of the messenger being part of the message. And one of the things that I think is distinctive about your environmental reporting or social issue reporting versus other things I see on the news is your personal passion. You know, it doesn't seem like just someone delivering a story that someone handed down to them. It's clear that either you kind of brought that story to the forefront, or you're helping someone else who has that story idea, you know, deliver it in a way that's going to be compelling.
Thank you. I think fundamentally, more than anything else, it's about expressing your passion, because, I mean, gosh, we've all done that. You know, I mean, at least on TV, I've done it, channel surfing, and then all of a sudden you happen upon something that seems really interesting. You're not sure what the context is, but someone starts talking, or you hear someone talking, and you can see how excited they are, and that has certainly, you know, in my life inspired me to just kind of take a minute and sit back, you know, not fall back, sit back, and say, well, let me listen and see if I might get that excited about this topic too, you know, and maybe I don't and I move on, but then maybe I do, so.
So I want to encourage everyone who's watching this to rewind this, play this back a few times, and hopefully model this, because if you don't have this level of passion and excitement for what you're talking about, as Simran does, then maybe either there's something else that you could be talking about that you are more passionate about, or maybe you want to be more expressive and share that passion and not feel like you have to hold back because you're on a camera and you don't know who's watching this.
But don't fall back, just do all those other things.
Yeah, the audience should fall off their chair, not you if you're presenting.
Yeah, you know.
Let's say you have your own blog. So let's say you have a business-oriented blog focused on green issues and sustainable issues. So one thing I took away from what you said is, if your audience are people in the business community, and there's a good chance they're watching your content during the day and they're at the office, then if it's video content, it might be better if it's, say, 3 minutes. So someone can get that message in between meetings or other things that they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer here. The business community is not monolithic, so you really need to be very clear on who is looking at your site or watching your material, and then you know, from there create content that is going to offer unique value. Because quite frankly, if you know, from what I have seen in my experience, that many businesses are looking towards some of the mainstream media outlets for this information. So if they can find it there, you know, if they can look on the Green blog of the New York Times, then what's going to incent them to go to your blog? You know, if they can go to Green Biz, which has been around for a while, what's going to incent them to want to go to your blog? So you need to kind of be clear on what your value proposition is, what you're offering that is unique, and how you can create a community around what it is that you're offering. So people feel like coming back not just for, you know, the content you're generating, but for maybe something bigger. Because I'll tell you, people aren't tuning in for me, they're tuning in for the wide numbers of stories that are being told. I have really tried as much as I can to be cognizant of what would be interesting to people. And that's not to say that I don't have my own interests and don't want to put that forward, because I'm really deeply concerned about environmental justice, and I think there's a kind of nice balance between sharing things with people that they may not know, and then also being really clear about what people do want to hear more about. So it also requires a little bit of, I don't know, intuition thrown into the mix as well to kind of achieve those ends. And you know, you may succeed, you may not. You just try again, regardless.
So one of the things that interested me about what you said earlier was, you know, it's not just you, it's not just Al Gore who are out there being advocates and powerful advocates and visible advocates, but it seems to me there's the opportunity, and it's happening, that many people are becoming advocates. So for example, here I am creating this program here with you to help other people find out ways that they can be powerful messengers. So I'm thinking about the bloggers and the videographers and the creative people and the entrepreneurs out there who also want to create messages and share that with the world. So that, as you were saying before, there's more and more reinforcement for these ways of thinking. So now for people out there who want to create their own content, like we're doing today,
Grab a camera for starters.
trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. So yeah, if you have a camera, just set it up and start shooting and get your message out there. And so what I'd like to do is for people listening in is give them a little guidance on how they can do it in a way that's going to be effective for them.
Sure. The first time actually I had this conversation was not too far away from here in Berkeley at the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies conference that I keynoted at UC Berkeley, and I said, share your stories. Share. I was imploring to everybody, businesses, nonprofits, share your stories, but you have to do it in a way that's going to reach your audience. And sometimes your audience is actually, you're pitching a story to a journalist, so you have to recognize they're under deadlines, they have a limited amount of time. If you want your story to stand out, you really have to talk about something that is happening, that is current. How does a nonprofit or a for-profit distinguish itself in a sea of green, or a sea of sustainability? You really have to be thoughtful around that. I think if you're trying to just, if you are, if you have picked up a camera or you're picked up a pen or, or you're typing on your keyboard, you are a journalist now. You have a great opportunity, I think, to be a legitimate storyteller. And it doesn't require, I'll tell you, I've never taken a journalism course. I've had the opportunity to work for, really major mainstream outlets. I also work for really small indie outlets, and it's about authenticity and really a commitment to truth telling. So do your research, talk to people. Get out there and find out who you need to get more information from. Like, don't settle for something reactive that is kind of, I don't know, there's quite a bit in the blogosphere that's really cluttered and does not have as much gravitas as some of the other information out there. So I would say look to the websites if you're working on the web that are most compelling to you, and start to see how those folks are maybe writing their posts. If you're doing a webcast, recognize how people are viewing your content. I mean, for the websites I've worked for, we had to be really conscious of when our traffic was spiking. So if people were looking at the website in the middle of the day, we were quite sure they weren't going to watch a 30-minute interview. But if they were going to take an audio segment and listen to it as a podcast later, then they would, the bandwidth that we could kind of get away with was much larger. So think about that. Think about the resources that you have. Think about what your audience might want. I think it's a great opportunity to explore and to just keep being willing to reinvent whatever it is that you're doing. That was one thing. As kind of, for a while, part of the core team at Tree Hugger, we were just really experimental. So if we felt like something wasn't working, we would amend it. We asked our viewers, we asked our readers, is this working for you? If not, what can we do that would work for you? We really were active in soliciting feedback, and I've continued to do that. I really believe that we have a great opportunity with digital technology to reach out to people, and now it really is as simple as grabbing a microphone or getting a video camera and being able to talk to the whole world, so and reach across the world and get information from other people. So the opportunity's there. It's just about, I think, using the tools responsibly and thoughtfully.